Hey guys, thanks for clicking on the video and taking your time out of the day to watch this. And I don't want to waste your guys' time. I don't want to make this a super long video. This is just going to focus on kind of three key fundamental pillars, if you will, for improving your aim. At the time of recording this, I have just over 1,700 hours in Kovacs, 200 or 300 hours, I think, in Aim Labs. And I've also previously been in the top 500 for DPS and Overwatch or Overwatch 2. So I don't claim to be the best. I'm not the best. I just want to, I guess, give people advice and help them improve their aim because I think I know a thing or two because I've seen a thing or two. So now that we got all that out of the way, now we can get into the meat of the video. All right, so the first fundamental or first pillar of improving your aim is challenge yourself. What do I mean by challenge yourself? Well, first, I know that this can be a kind of heated topic in the aiming community. And I'm not saying to do this permanently, but I think you need to find a comfortable sense depending on your skill level. So obviously, if you're advanced here, then you don't need to have a consistent sensitivity. You're probably comfortable enough with your mouse that you can change your sensitivity on the fly. But for people that are, I guess, at a lower intermediate or that are definitely starting out and getting into aim training or trying to improve their aim at the lower level, I would suggest getting a comfortable sense that you can work with efficiently, that you're familiar with. The way that I view things is you want to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations. And I know we're talking about video games and we're talking about aim training, I get that. But the way I always kind of viewed it was if I can do hard scenarios or scenarios that kind of push me to my limit, if I can become comfortable, then that's going to translate into in-game where I'm uncomfortable. Maybe I'm facing a 1v2 in Valorant or Counter-Strike, whatever it is. And maybe if I'm able to be comfortable, or maybe I'm even able to excel in those type of situations, that's going to give me an advantage that my opponent or opponents do not have. I think that's like a fundamental way of viewing things. I think even throughout life, if you can be comfortable in uncomfortable situations, then I think that's a good thing. All right, so what do I mean by that when it comes to aim training? How can I tie that into improving my aim? You want to find scenarios that will push you to try and focus and dial in to whether you're hitting a high score or you're really focusing on making a straight line from one flicking target to another, or if it's a speed scenario that's really pushing your speed on how fast you can move your arm or wrist or fingers, however you aim. You want to find something that is always challenging. A good way to look at it, tying it back to something else in real life, is if you're going to put on muscle mass, what you want to do is you don't want to lift light. You want to push something heavy. You want to challenge yourself. You don't want to make it easy. You want to find something that pushes you almost to failure, and then that's when you'll build your muscle or your aim training skill. You want to find something that pushes you. It's like, wow, like I almost didn't get that scenario done and I was aiming for this score, if that makes sense. That's kind of how I viewed it. To tie back into challenging yourself, last point here, another term of this, I don't know if it's a scientific term, I don't think it is. It's kind of like the Goldilocks zone. You don't want something too easy. You don't want something too hard. You want something that's just right, that'll fit for you. All right, so second pillar, and I know everyone's heard it 1,000 times. Everyone hears this all the time, and it can be annoying, and I think it's extremely underrated, but it's be consistent. If you're serious about improving your aim, it doesn't matter what the rest of your life looks like. I'm not saying you have to play 8 hours a day in Kovacs or whatever the game it is that you're trying to improve at. If you're serious about it, you'll have to set a schedule. And it's up to you to determine how long that schedule is going to be, or how short, how extensive, how in-depth it's going to be. You know your schedule, I don't. You're gonna have to set some type of schedule that you consistently will do day in and day out. Maybe it's 3 days a week, 2 days a week. I'm not gonna argue specifics, but something needs to be set up to where you're consistently working towards your goal. So when you're being consistent and you're kind of feeling burnt out because you're like, man, I really want to hop on and play this game already, but I should do these scenarios to warm up. To take it a step further, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to turn your shoulds into a must. This is a great quote. I don't know who it's by. The quote says, turn your shoulds into musts. As long as it is a should, then you'll do it when it's convenient. Convenience does not create consistency, and you don't get good at something while you're not being consistent. It's a mindset kind of thing. It translates to other skills in life. If you're wanting to improve it, whatever it is, some type of skill, you're going to have to be consistent. And the things that you should do, if you're really serious about it, they shouldn't be shoulds, they should be musts. So last point about being consistent, something that helped me be consistent is I looked at my aiming as a diminishable skill, whether it's like a language or say maybe it's muscle mass. If you're not in the gym consistently and you go a prolonged period of time without being in the gym, you may lose your muscle mass. The same thing can apply here to your aim skill. You won't lose it completely, but maybe what sets you apart from others, if you stop being consistent, maybe you just become just like everyone else, the average aimer. But if you want to be more than the average, you're going to have to be consistent. You're going to have to do things that set you apart. So if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. Third pillar or third fundamental of improving your aim, be intentional. A lot of people will, up to this point, maybe they find something that challenges them. They're consistent. They have a set schedule that they stick to, but they're not intentional with what they play or how they play it. They just go through the motions, running through their playlists, whether it's their warm up or something maybe you play something at the end of the day, at the end of whenever you're gaming. They're not intentional. They just go through the motions and they play the scenarios and they try and hurry to get them done so they can be done with it. Now, you may get better without being intentional. I'm not going to argue that, but you're not going to be able to maximize how good you could be if you're not being intentional. If you can go back and watch gameplay of you in game or whether you're playing Kovacs, and if you can be honest with yourself and identify areas that you're weak in, that would be a huge thing that'll set you apart from even the people that made it to 2 of the 3 steps. Again, I think a good analogy is kind of like going to the gym. Going to the gym isn't going to make you a professional athlete, but the professional athletes do go to the gym. Nothing's going to replace the value of playing that game that you're trying to improve at. You want to make sure that you have the strength, in quotations, to make sure that you can perform in that game at that level. In Kovacs or Aim Labs or whatever aim training you're kind of doing, I always viewed as that's the gym, and then the game is the game. So it's only going to complement. It can't be a complete substitute. So people will show up to the gym and they won't just grab a bunch of weights and grab the barbell or dumbbells, whatever it is, and start lifting it in weird ways and doing all sorts of fun stuff. They go to the gym and they have a set schedule. Today is leg day. They're being intentional with what they're doing and what they're working on. Maybe their legs is their weaker part. So you have to be honest with yourself and you have to be intentional with what you're wanting to work on and improve. All right, guys, you made it this far. Thanks for tuning in and taking the time out of your day to watch the video. It means a lot. I hope you guys can at least utilize some of these things that I've talked about and find some progress and ways to improve your aim. I'll be making other aim training content on this channel, and I also do live stream. So if you want to come stop by and say hey and hang out and chat, it'd be awesome. I'd love to have you guys. And if you guys have any questions, I want to talk about something, leave comments down below. I don't claim to know everything. I'm just giving you guys my advice and what I did to get to the point where I'm at. Thanks for coming by. Be healthy, be humble, be positive, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one. See you at work.